Hi guys, Marina is here. So a friend and I were chatting away about traveling, and I said how grateful I am to live in such a small community where in the heart of what I consider New Zealand, in Southland, in a small community where there is no traffic lights, no stop signs, no grocery store that I know of, just a pub. But very small community. And I said, one thing that I really love about my journey in traveling and exploring this world is that I had a privilege of actually living in the countries, not just passing as a tourist. Because just passing as a tourist for a few weeks, even sometimes few months, you don't get a chance to experience the heart of people, the heart of the culture. So for me, because she was asking me, "Are you happy in such a small place? Are you?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm actually very, very much happy." And it is because I feel like when I leave New Zealand, I will leave with a small part of New Zealand in my heart, because I really got to experience the heart of the people and the land by living in a place that I'm living. And then as the conversation proceeded, we were just talking about the travel, some of my experience of traveling, and I've left the country when I was 17, my home, my birth country, and I lived in Russia, and I lived in Norway, and many states in America, and a few times in New Zealand, and passing by a few places. But I said one place that I would have I have amazing memories from every single place. One place that I would have a difficult time really returning and leaving if I have to, it would be Moscow. And the reason why is because how desensitized you get by seeing the enormous hardship of the people and the realities in front of your face of the streets. You see homeless children, you see homeless people, you see adults, you see stolen babies, and you know that they are stolen, that they don't belong to. You will see beggars sitting on the streets with children, babies that always sleep. And what they do, they sometimes steal children. You know it's not theirs because they don't, the skin tone and etc. And they will drug them, and they will use them as asking for money, and you would see this on a regular basis. And what happens is people get desensitized, and I would see sometimes people are more compassionate towards animals than they would to people, homeless people and children on the streets. And myself, as a 17-year-old who just turned 18, I've experienced that all myself, living really very, very little sleep and hardly any food. I was very poor at that time. And at some point I was studying there and working at the same time. And I was so food and sleep deprived that one time I was start fainting in the metro, in the subway, and I stepped out and I fainted. I blacked out and I fall, and here I am. I don't look anything like I could be on drugs or drunk, but absolutely no one stopped to help me. And this is just a small bits of my experience in Russia. It was really tough time, especially for me being quite young. And when I left, it's definitely developed my character because I had to make a lot of very hard choices. You can make easy money there if you choose to. So I had to fight and develop my character when I left. So I was telling to my friend that one place would be difficult for me to return because of that. And it's been many years ago. So of course things changing. But as the conversation progressed, I said, well, in New Zealand, although you don't see these horrible realities of the street lives on a daily basis, people are on the other spectrum of desensitization. and that's a word, desensitizing. It's because we watch the news and we see, in a lot of times for us, it's just numbers. Death and war and refugees and victims of slavery sometimes become just numbers. Or in fact, I've met, as I had the opportunities to talk about the realities of life on the streets and the realities of being a slave and victim of human trafficking, I was astonished by how many people didn't know. In fact, it's very, very rare I would meet people who had a clue what I was talking about. And I was so naive. I thought everyone knows. So although in Russia, the realities, and former Soviet Union, the realities hit you in the face on a daily basis and you get desensitized. In a developed countries like Norway, like New Zealand, from my own experience, and like even America, we get desensitized, and we're on the other spectrum where it's either ignorance, either I had comments, I had people said, well, ignorance is pretty much bliss, I sleep better at night, or people also would think that it's such a big issue, what can I do? So there is many different aspects to that. And as I was talking about the realities that I experienced in Russia, I thought, well, it's pretty much the same everywhere. It's just some people desensitized by realities of it, some people just ignorant. And what it brought me, why am I here today talking to you, is because as I am on the journey of inviting people to participate in what I am doing, and if you're not sure what I'm talking about, go and watch my video, I'm an Abolitionist, and dream with me. I will include the link below. You would, as I'm on this journey, inviting people into my life and being incredibly transparent and vulnerable, sharing my life story, what I start encountering, even from my dearest friends who knew me for years, they have no idea what I'm talking about. And that's why I call this video, name this video, why do I give most of my income? And what I want to do today, this is probably going to be, it's already 7 minutes. It's going to be quite long video. So if you still with me here until the end, awesome. I value your time. Thank you so much. If you get bored, that's fine. I will actually try to summarize it in writing and send it to you as well. But what I want to do, I want to bring to life to you 3 families that I work with. And what I consider myself is voice for the voiceless. I want to be that voice that that bring to life the stories that otherwise would never be heard. And I personally believe that we don't need to hear all the details of horrible atrocities for us to wake up and do something. However, some people need to hear that. And I'm here to, mainly for really my friends who thinking, what the heck am I doing with my life? To explain what I'm doing a little bit more and take you on the journey that this is the first year I've ever been able to talk about it, to talk about my life, to talk about what I am doing and people that I'm investing in working, simply because it was incredibly personal. In fact, before I even start talking about the realities of my childhood, I've spent hours and days weeping. I didn't even knew that I had so much tears in me, just deep onto deep. It was just coming out, and I had to go through that healing process in order to bring it to you. So today what I want to do is go a little bit deeper into the families that I work with, and I'm going to talk to you about three particular families. I'm not going to disclose their names. In fact, most of you know their names, the people that I work with. But just what I'm going to do, I will omit a lot of details from their lives, and I'm going to just bring you some of the highlights of these families that I work with. So first, I'll use a flower to represent each family, okay? Because it's so precious. First, let's pick a name, any name. name that dear to you. Someone, it's one thing when it's on the TV, in a book, and in news, it's statistics. Another thing, when it's so personal, when it's your child, when it's your sister, when it's your brother, when it's your mom, when it's your cousin, when it's your best friend, then we will turn the world upside down to help them. So I'm gonna call this, let's say, Hope. This little girl's name is Hope, and she was born to an absolutely beautiful woman, and she was loved very much so. In fact, her name, if you translate, this is a real person, her name, if you translate from Russian, means sunrise. And Hope, as her life progressed, and fast forward, her mom fell into commercial sexual exploitation. She became a victim of commercial sexual exploitation, living in a Muslim countries with no resources whatsoever available to families to help them. And at that time, there were just simply no other choice. When your choices are to live in an absolute extreme poverty and die from starvation, or sell your body to provide for your children, this is not a choice. And I believe everyone can agree that with me. Or you can also sell your children. That's also an option. Actually, in some cultures and some countries, culturally acceptable option to sell your children for sex. So Hope, when she was very little, saw her mom absolutely deteriorating, and her mom was absolutely incredibly beautiful person within and out, and she saw her mom wither, and as her mom was withering and being used day after day after day after day after day, she started drinking, she started dying inside and out. And as a result, became extremely abusive towards Hope, physically and emotionally. Hope dropped out of school when she was in 5th grade, and went off, started living on the streets, started hanging around with a really wrong crowd, and fast forward, got into trouble, and got into someone else's apartment, stole $100, $100 to $200 it was, and was convicted. She was underage, she was 16, and she was convicted to prison to 3 years. Now, in a Muslim country, there's a Shia law, and if you came from a very low socioeconomics and you can't hire a good lawyer, you don't have anyone to advocate on your behalf, you'll be screwed. Yeah, and that's what happened to her. She didn't have anyone advocating on her behalf, fighting for her, hiring lawyers and etc. So she was unjustly was put into the prison, not even jail, into the prison with criminals. And where in developed countries you might be sentenced to, community service for that. There you go to prison for years. And once she got out of the prison for good behavior, I think she was there a year and a half. I don't have all my notes with me, so I don't really know all the, can't tell you a lot of details, but I don't think you need that. She got out, again, was so broken. She pretty much had a life on the street, was raped, got pregnant with twins. She's 17, going on 18 now, and with no job, no education. The father of the children forced her to have an abortion. So did her mom. Her mom basically didn't want to do anything. She was so broken and so unable to do anything. She just basically said, I can't help you. So this little girl, and she was very far in her pregnancy, and I think it was 5th or 6th month, she had to kill both of her twins. And that scarred her for life. Plus everything that she's been through, right? Fast forward, she ended up in Russia, in Moscow, as a victim of human trafficking. And she was so naive and she's so innocent still, that trusting people, trusting adults, that they will keep their promise. And what happened is someone else, a good friend of her, promised her a job in Moscow. And she said, I'll just pay for your ticket, you come, I live on a farm here, I take care of dogs, and you'll just be helping me. So she arrived, and as she arrived, she walks into an apartment, they asked for her passport, took her passport, locked the door, and said, actually, you are here to prostitute yourself. She was panicking. She's like, where is my friend? She said, I'm going to be working here. And again, in huge, in Russia, Moscow, it's big, and you're coming from the small city. And what happened is that she was forced into commercial sexual exploitation, and day after day after day, this girl was raped. And one day, she couldn't escape. It was very high building apartment. She couldn't escape. There was a metal door that latched. There was in a living room always guards, making sure men would just come, rape these girls, and leave. And one day she whispered to this man, will you please help me? I'm actually held hostage here. I'm not here by my own will. So what the man did, he got out and came with lots of money, asked how much it cost, and bought her out and got her out of there. And that's very, very, very rare. 99%, and I'm making up the numbers, of course, the most of the time they will report it back to the owner of the victims, and the victims would be severely punished. So in this case, he bought her out for a lot of money, and he let her escape, and she came back home damaged. And the thing is, especially in the third world countries, there is no there are no social services. There are no system in place to help them to recover and to integrate them back in society. And especially if you're in a Muslim country, you are nothing. You are just a whore. You are piece of garbage. Doesn't matter what socioeconomics you are, especially if your mom was a prostitute. So she's coming back home. At that point, she already have a child that she kept. And not only she carrying a lot of damage, internal damage, but she also got really, really sick. And she got cirrhosis, she got thyroid, she gained enormous amount of weight, she doesn't have any education internally, and this girl at that point was in her early 20s. And I'm just telling you one incident. This happened few times. And when she came back, in fact, she got back into prostitution because there were simply no other options. Nobody gonna hire. She tried to work as a waitress with all these health problems and that weight. Nobody wanted to hire her anyway. And anytime she would get a job, she would be just the words and the abuse, emotional abuse that would come from men towards her, because in the small communities, word spreads out. They know who your parents are, who your mom are, whether you have a dad, where you've been, who you are. So her health started disintegrating dramatically. And I've met Hope. I've knew her for many, many years. And over the years, I've tried to do what I can, and the resources that I had available. Very often I didn't have anything available, but the time when I had the resources available, sometimes I would do everything that I had. And at some point, I actually consistently was supporting her, and I made, she wasn't a believer at the time, a Christian, and she was out there. I made an arrangements with her. It's very long. It's a very long story to tell you, but slowly, I got her out of that life. by providing necessary resources so she can provide. At that point, she had 2 children. To represent, I'll put 2 flowers. 2 boys, 2 little amazing boys that she kept. She could have sold them, she could have given it away, aborted them. A lot of mothers do this. Girls at her age have dozens of abortions that I met. And for about 9 years, pretty much consistently, I was fully supporting her and got her out of the life that she used to live. Well, the obstacle now, that with the resources that I had available, it was only enough to help her to survive and not to help her strive and her children. It will cover her main expenses like food and rent and some schooling. Or I had to come up with extra for clothing and for lots of medical needs. And we're not even tapping into the emotional hours and hours and hours that I had to spend on the phone, counseling and praying with her and ministering to her and walking through this process with her, and at times for hours weeping myself with her as we went through the process of the healing. And there she has a long way to go. But the amazing thing now, she's been away actually. When I was helping her, she's still, I went through all kinds of stuff with her. She was cheating, she was manipulating, she was lying, all kinds of stuff. When people come from that kind of environment, the most challenging thing is really its renewal of the mind and the healing of the heart more than anything else. And it takes a long time. And I've only started seeing results 4 years ago, really. And only 2 years ago, where she fully gave her life to Yeshua and following Yeshua. I'm talking to her now, I hardly can recognize her, and the fulfillment that it brings to my life, I can't even tell you. But this, now I'm looking at the time, it's 22 minutes that I've been talking about. I don't know how you're feeling there on the other side, if you're still with me, if you're still listening. But this is just one family, this is just one example. I have, I'm not going to talk about them now, maybe in the next video. I have young men that I've been working with as well, that have absolutely phenomenal story, but quite similar to Hope. And I have another family, I'll call her Grace, with 2 children, which has another absolutely phenomenal story, and also with 2 children. And these are now really 3 adults and 4 children. Yeah, 4 children. Hope have 2 children and Grace have 2 children. And in fact, young man that I'm talking about, he have 1 child, but he is unable now to be part of his life yet. Emmanuel. He named his child Emmanuel. Anyways, I'm not disclosing their names for a purpose, but you know who I'm talking about, and some of you at least. And these are the people that I'm working. I can't, for the sake of the time, I can't really go into details of the other families, but I will in a next video. And but this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. I would not be able to live with myself knowing that I could have helped these families to live the lives that they left, to help them to live the hell that they've been in, and start the journey into the healing. I would have never been able to live with myself. So now that I have this opportunity to give all I have to ensure that they strive, that's what I'm laying for. And my dream that not only they will be surviving, that they will be striving. And I see the small steps towards healing and restoration in their lives. And that's God's work. He can use me, but ultimately only He can heal. No drugs, no amount of counseling, no amount of anything can do what He have done in their lives, what He have done in my life. So that's His part, and He using me to His fullness, I hope, because that's what I want. And to invest in lives. And as I say, investing in lives is the best return investment you will ever have. Once you see where they come from and you see the progress, and you know that the children of these victims will have a very different life because of what you have done. And that is the legacy, that if something happened to me today, and if I die today, I will have no regrets. Have I made wrong choices in my life? Heck yeah. Have I made mistake? Heck yeah, that's called life. Do I have regrets? I don't, because each circumstances, each mistake or life experience is a learning experience. We say, pain, no gain, right? Developing your character through pain. But yet, regardless of what my life been, I know that no matter what happens an hour from now, I know that I live to my fullness. And that's what I want to do every single day. Do I get to do it every single day? No, sometimes self-centered soul and mind come in a way. But the more I submit my mind and my soul into the authority of Yeshua HaMashiach, the more my spirit takes over and leads me into the fullness and wholeness of who I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to do with my life. So that's just one story. I hope you got something out of it. I was just rambling. There's so much. There is a wealth of insight that I can bring to you that will take you on a journey to these families. But really, I think for now, I just wanted to paint you a picture of why I'm doing what I'm doing, why I'm giving away pretty much all I've got, why am I leading the lifestyle that I'm leading the lifestyle, and I'm very transparent about my finances and my life, my daily life. Anything you want to know, really, there is nothing that I won't tell you. Well, maybe some things I won't tell you. It depends on who you are, really. And but anyways, I love you guys. I hope each of you have flowers in your life that you nurture and that you take care of. Yeah. Okay. Bye. Until next time. Okay, guys. Just another. Give me 60 seconds just to wrap it up. Why I'm continuously helping them also, why my support haven't stopped, is because my goal is to empower them, empower the families that I currently work with by providing necessary resources which enable them to strive. Until today, it's been all about surviving for me, really, and for them. And now it's a season where I want to, for Hope, buy a house where she can cultivate the land, where she can not worry about paying a rent, and she moved, and within a couple of years she moved so many times I can't even tell you, where she can just rest and start working on healing and also help her to go and gain some skills. I have so many dreams for Hope and her children, and the same for these young men. I hope that I will get a chance to share his story. My dream is to provide the opportunity for him to get out of where he is now. And I've been working really intensively with him. And he's done an amazing progress. He's 25 now. Is he? 1990, 25. And I want to actually get him out of the country and provide him an opportunity in New Zealand or in America to study English, to gain the skills. And I am looking for a father figure for him, for a man who would want to become his mentor, who would take him from zero and will stick to him until he succeed. He would be your best investment, I guarantee. He is, I mean, I've stuck with him now for many years because I believe, I see that he is the chosen one. He is an amazing man, where he came from, and the character that he have is just phenomenal. Most people would be on drugs and dead by now, but he's been through hell and back. So I'm looking for a mentor for him, for a family who will adopt, who will help him to come, whether it's America or New Zealand, help him to get in school, help him to learn English, and really invest with him thousands and thousands of dollars. But so what? The amount of money that I invested, I could have been probably wealthy by now. And not a family with 2 children, Grace. I'm really hoping to. She's the only one really who, not the only one. The young man also have a job now, but he's also quite sick. Another story. And Grace, she has 2 children, and she has a job, but that job doesn't even pay for childcare, so I have to substitute her income. In fact, I just recently rescued her human trafficking. She was trafficked to Moscow and couldn't. It was a crazy situation, so I had to get her out, buy her ticket, flew her back home, and now really want to substitute her income so she can go and gain some skills, and so she can breathe. So this is my goal now. To really invest in them. Go to my website or the website is in its infancy. 60 seconds, I've already been talking for 4 minutes. It's investinalife.org. I'll include a link. It needs a lot of work. I need web developers, web designs, and people who can help me to work on the content of the website as well. But there you'll have at least some information. You know how to contact me if you want to be part of what I'm doing and want to adopt a family. I can send you their budget. I can send you their pictures, their stories. You can become part of their lives. I don't even have to be in a picture. You can, the concept of give a little, where families actually directly becoming part of. Anyways, scratch this. Basically, my goal is that you become part of their lives, and I don't even have to be in the picture. I don't want to resources necessarily come through me. I want people, where your heart is, that's where your money and resources going to go. I want you to truly adopt them and not just give money. Honestly, sometimes giving cash, it's the easiest thing you can do. It is. But when you put everything into someone else's life, then you want to make sure that they make it. Otherwise, you'll feel like a failure. So if you want to become part of their lives, get hold of me. My goal is help them to strive, help them to get on a track, and then start adopting more families. There's lots of needs, and yes, we can't necessarily be led by need, but also we cannot look another way. And I say, now that you know, okay, now that I know, I'm responsible. I can never say now that I didn't know. So I hope that gives you some insight. I love you guys.